My husband loves a good sandwich. Multiple times a week, he will be like, I want Subway, I want Subway. So we eat a lot of sandwiches around here, and I think that I make them pretty well. These are not your standard ham and cheese sandwiches. These are absolutely delicious sandwiches that I think will be great to incorporate into your weekly meal rotation. So before I could make the sandwiches for the week, I needed to make bread. I used my beginner bread recipe for this, which makes 2 loaves of bread. I shaped half of it into a sandwich bread, and then the other half I used to make French loaves. So typically I try to make 4 or 5 like little French loaves that we can use for like personal size sandwiches. On this particular day, I got a little carried away. I was trying to make as many as possible and I made them a little too small. So next time I just go with like what I normally do. The first sandwich I made was an Instant Pot French dip. This is one of my favorites. I've shared it a time or two before on the channel, but you start by searing the meat and caramelizing your onions. To help with the caramelization of the onions and make it a little bit faster, you can add a little sugar, and then I poured in the beer, the broth, and the seasonings, and I set it on high pressure for about an hour, and you end up with like tender and flavorful, juicy French dip sandwiches, and then you dip it in like the au jus with melty cheese. It is absolutely delicious, and it's truly one of my favorite sandwiches. I do have the recipe linked down below for you. It's on my blog at goodenoughmomming.com. The next one is a fried chicken biscuit sandwich. Oh my god, this might be my favorite. I know I was just hyping up the French dip, but this one was delicious. So I started by making the sourdough biscuit recipe, which is one of my favorites. I do have a recipe on my website. It's flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, sourdough discard, and then depending on the hydration of your sourdough starter, you might need to add a little bit of water to have everything fully come together. And then you fold the dough over itself a few times, roll it out, cut out the biscuits, and bake that at 400 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. While that's baking, I marinated the chicken. For the chicken, I cut 2 chicken thighs in half and seasoned them with onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, pepper, and salt. You can obviously season your chicken however you would like. And I heard that Chick-fil-A uses pickle juice to marinate their chicken, so I added some of that to the marinade as well. I let that sit while the biscuits were baking. I bet it would have been even better had I let it sit for a couple hours, but I was making this for lunch. I fried the chicken in some seasoned flour, and I built the sandwich with mayo and pickles. This was so simple, so delicious with a little sweet tea. Like, this was just giving all the southern vibes, and I loved it. And in a few of these clips, you see that I'm in my PJs. I just couldn't be bothered to get dressed. So the first 2 recipes were actually on the weekend, and if you saw my self-care video, I talked about how on the weekends I like take it off. I literally do the bare minimum. I don't get dressed. I stay in PJs or loungewear set. And I was like, the videos have got to be filmed, and so I just filmed them in my PJs because I am coming to you my authentic self, my lazy self, really, because I was not getting dressed. It just was not happening, not to film a video. Do you have anything like special or like out of the ordinary that you do on the weekends that like you just can't break? Like, I just love that I get to be in PJs, cuddling with my kid on the couch while we watch Saturday and Sunday morning cartoons. Like, it is one of my favorite parts of the week, and I had just gotten off the couch from doing that, and I was not gonna get uncomfy. I just couldn't force myself to do it. Then I made my husband's absolute favorite. This is what he's gonna get every single time we go to Subway: meatball subs. I feel like this is a classic. So I started by chopping up my aromatics. I did some onion, basil, and thyme, and I made the meatballs. I seasoned the meat with the typical seasonings, and I threw in some herbs, and I used the leftover biscuits to bind the meatballs together, and I shaped them really tiny because remember how I mentioned that I made the bread too small? I didn't throw that bread away. We're still using her. her. So I made little tiny meatballs to go in the bread, and I like to bake the meatballs a little bit at first because I feel like whenever I put them directly into the sauce, they like fall apart more. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but this is how I do it. And then for the sauce, I sauteed onion and some garlic. I stirred in the crushed tomatoes, some water, and herbs. I do have a recipe for like the sauce on my blog as well. The recipe actually calls for red wine, but I didn't have any, so I just used a little water. And I let that simmer for a while, and then I added the meatballs back in. I forgot to get a final picture of this one, but we did top it with some mozzarella, and it was just so good. Like, meatball subs are really, really, really good. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did take a week off last week, and like just for like a mental health. Like, I feel like I do that every few months. I think my last like YouTube break was like 2 months ago, because I really feel like you just have to like take a moment sometimes, like from social media and like content creation, because I feel like it's just a rat wheel. Like, the algorithms are ridiculous. The fact that you have to be posting so much. Like, I was trying to do the TikTok thing. Girl, I had to give it up. I don't know how y'all folks be uploading TikToks every single day. Oh my god, like, I have a whole life. I was just like, I cannot do this. I do want to figure out how to incorporate TikTok, but it's just too much. Like, if you're doing that, girl, you are better than me. Lastly, I did chicken shawarma on sourdough pita. I found a chicken shawarma recipe online. I'll have that link down below. And of course, me being me, I cannot just make a recipe, okay? I always gotta doctor it up. So I did add a little garam masala to it, which I feel like was delicious. And then I think it was like cumin, paprika, salt, pepper. I don't know. I can't remember. It's not my recipe, so I'll have it linked down below. And I let the chicken marinate all day long. I got this started early in the morning, and I ended up cooking it in the air fryer. I used the sourdough pita recipe from Farmhouse on Boone, and they turned out fine. So I think the reason that they didn't puff up as much as hers do is because I used sourdough discard, and she called for active starter. So already, like, I'm kind of messing this recipe up. And then number two, I did not let them rest for as long as she did after she had rolled them out. So I think had I actually like followed the directions, which I don't ever do, quite frankly, it would have turned out a lot better. But hey, they were still really, really good. I didn't get that like nice pita pocket that, you know, you would want. We just ended up like using it more of like a tortilla. But my kid did love this recipe. It was delicious. Like, the addition of whole wheat, that is so good in these. Like, it adds like a bit of a nutty flavor. My kid was tearing them up. He loved them. And to top the chicken, I cut up some onion and tomato, and I made a quick sauce. I think it's the same sauce that was on the marinade recipe. The recipe actually called for it. Look at me, like, not following the directions at all for anything. But the recipe actually called for Greek yogurt. Didn't have any Greek yogurt, so I used sour cream and then some dill, lemon juice, rice wine vinegar. I think that this is my own sauce. Now that I'm like thinking about it, I do not think this is how she made the sauce. But it was delicious. The sauce was my favorite part of this recipe. Like, I could put that sauce on everything. Let me know if you are the type of person that like follows a recipe to a T, or if you just kind of ad lib. Because I have been cooking for so long that it's just like, yeah, like a recipe to me is simply a suggestion. Like, I just need like a base for like what we're doing. And at this point, I do also like develop my own recipes and stuff. So I like know how to cook. So do you do the same, or are you like following it to a T? So those were my 4 easy and absolutely delicious sandwiches that you can incorporate into your weekly meal rotation. If you are interested in any more meal inspiration, homemaking inspiration, just basically all things being a mom, a wife, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to like and comment on the video. It really does help me out, letting YouTube know that you did enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next one.